Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. Once again, it is time for Gear Talk with Jason, and today I'm going to cover for you guys the basic methods of PCT, also known as post-cycle therapy. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Alright guys, I'm going to state for the record, I am not a fan of current cycling theory, but this is the general consensus and the way that many non-serious athletes do things as far as just casual use is the use of cycles, which means you actually come off. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that for you. However, I do question the fact of why people who want to ever come off would even consider going on steroids in the first place, but to each their own. And for people who are not going to do bridging or blasting and cruising, you're going to have to do some sort of PCT. And some people will try to tell you that this cycle or that cycle, you don't need PCT if you're going to come off of it. And anyone telling you that is full of shit. They are hurting your gains, they are hurting your body, they are hurting your recovery by giving you that advice, even if it is well-meaning. Now, if you're running a very mild short cycle of something such as Anavar, which is mildly suppressive to the HTPA, and you're running it for a fairly short period of time, you can get away with a SERM only cycle, which means something like 20 milligrams of Nolvadex or 50 milligrams of Clomid every day for around a month. Now, if you're running something a bit more suppressive, if you're running anything more than about 6 to 8 weeks of even testosterone, or you're running any stack whatsoever that has a 19-nor compound in it, which would be nandrolone, also known as DECA, trenbolone, anything like that. Those are very, very suppressive. And if you're running those for any length of time, or you're running testosterone beyond around 6 to 8 weeks, so you're running a medium length cycle, which is going to be anything over 8 weeks, and you may even want to consider this for short cycles, you're going to want to run an aromatase inhibitor with your SERM. A lot of people feel that Arimidex is okay for this, and it may be for many. I personally prefer Aromacin. I think it's a much better compound. It has lower side effects on the body and it's healthier for you. Now, some people will argue that they don't like it for a number of reasons, and I don't want to really get into that debate. But if you're going to run Arimidex, you probably want to run around 0.5 milligram of it every day for your 30 days of your PCT. If you're running Aromacin, you're going to want to run around 12.5 milligrams every day for PCT. And they usually come in 25 milligram tabs. You cut them in half. And these are just basic PCT methods. Now, when you're doing your PCT, you need to take into account when you come off. I personally, for people who are cycling off, I like the idea of switching to short chain esters at the end, or dropping your long chain injectables a couple of weeks away from the end of the cycle. Let's say you're running a 12-week cycle, you stop using them after the 10th week and switch to purely to something like Anavar. So a milder oral like Anavar that's not as toxic as the others is a good one, and it also helps you harden up and retain some of your gains from the cycle. And that way you can start your cycle immediately after your, like a day or two after your last injection of a short chain ester, or the day after you come off of your orals. Now, if you're running longer chain esters, you're going to want to wait at least 1 week, if not 2 weeks, after your last injection before you actually start the PCT. Because you need time for the drug to taper down out of your system a bit and stop suppressing you before you start really trying to kick it back up. Now, a lot of people will say that, well, at a week it's still very much in your system, and possibly even at 2 weeks, and that is true, but there's nothing wrong with starting to get your production up even while you're still being suppressed. Alright guys, that's the basics of PCT. Those are just some very, very basic, simple protocols that are used for it. And I really don't want to get a bunch of questions asking, hey, which one should I use for this? I've given you some basic info there. If you want to find further info on your specific stack and setup, there are plenty of forums out there that will address it if you Google it. There's no need for me to sit there and cover it for all you guys in the comments. Alright, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope this has been informative, and I will talk to you next time.